It's turning out to be quite a summer of discontent in the Christian community. After the Delhi Archbishop, the head of the Catholic Church in India, now another Archbishop, Reverend Filipe Neri Ferrao of Goa, has some really worrying things to say in his letter to the parishioners. It's an annual letter that he sends out, but in this particular one, he devoted 15 pages to lifting poverty from the country. But here are some words which he sounded in it which were quite worrying. At least they've worried lots of people out there, including the government. He says in that letter, there's a new trend emerging in our country which demands uniformity in what and how we eat, dress, live, and even worship, a kind of monoculturalism. Human rights are under attack and democracy appears to be in peril. The various minorities fear for their safety. Respect for law is frankly on the decline in this country. Constitution is in danger, reason why most of the people live in insecurity. Remember, this comes just after Archbishop of Delhi, Reverend Koto, who went a step further in his letter asking parishioners to pray for a better government where minorities would be secure.
We pray for our own renewal and for the renewal of the country. So keeping in mind all that is happening in our country, we also said that we look forward to the next elections and next government and so on. And every government that comes into power should be a government that protects the people, the constitution, the rights of the people, the freedom of the people, and so on and so forth.
But the prayers are always needed.
Elections concern us. And therefore, when we talk, we have to talk about the elections. We have to talk because the government concerns us. We cannot be apart from the government. We pray that we have to have such a government that cares for the freedom of the people, rights also of the Christian community, welfare also of the Christian community.
I had said there is an anxiety, and that I had mentioned also to the Prime Minister when I met him. Anxiety because of certain incidents have created, I would say, it's not growing, but there's a little anxiety. What is the future? How are we doing? I saw that in certain cases, and that's what I meant. Anxiety because I feel sometimes the government does not act fast enough and doesn't give a clear message that this is not tolerable. Every minority should feel secure. That's important.
So that was Cardinal Gracia speaking on our show just a couple of weeks ago. Now, all of this got adverse reactions from the government and from the public at large. While some said it wasn't their place to talk about politics, others pointed out, why should a man of church, why was he advocating a change of government as they saw it? The Home Minister, the BJP President, all denounced it. But the Catholic Church head in India, Cardinal Oswald, as you saw him just a short while ago, said there were grounds for being anxious. So now we have another letter. There are those that say that clergymen are simply reflecting what their community feels. After all, the NCRB data also showed that from 2014 to 2015, there had been a rise of attacks based on religion from 320 through attacks to 378, rising to 447, which is a considerable rise in 2016. And if you look at the figures about the Christian community alone, well, then the attack figures had gone from 177 to 306 in 2016 to 351 in 2017. These are the figures that have been cited not just by our institutions but internationally as well. Well, the Minorities Affairs Minister, however, said that these comments, like the one today, were motivated and wouldn't impact the fortunes of the BJP.
अब ये चुनाव का वर्ष है और इस चुनाव के वर्ष में आपको फतवे भी दिखाई पड़ेंगे और फरमान भी सुनाई पड़ेंगे। तो इन फतवे फरमानों का युग शुरू हो गया है, एक तरह से युग नहीं बल्कि मौसम शुरू हो गया है। लेकिन इन फतवे और फरमानों से फतह पे किसी तरह की जो है वो पलीदा नहीं लगाया जा सकता। आज जो है वो देश में जो सकारात्मक माहौल है, जो एक बहुत ही विकास का एक बहुत ही पॉजिटिव माहौल है, उस बात को सबको समझना चाहिए। जहां तक भारत की बात है, जो लोग इस तरह के फरमान जारी कर रहे हैं उनको समझना चाहिए कि भारत में विचारों की भी स्वतंत्रता है, धार्मिक और सामाजिक स्वतंत्रता की गारंटी है और दुनिया के किसी भी लोकतांत्रिक देश से ज्यादा भारत में अल्पसंख्यकों की सुरक्षा भी है, संवैधानिक सुरक्षा भी है, सामाजिक सुरक्षा भी है और धार्मिक स्वतंत्रता भी है।
So the minister saying that there is freedom to practice one's faith in India. Everybody is secure. There is no need for concern. And yet, this is the third such statement from the church that we are seeing there. How should we read this? How should we concern? Should the government, in fact, reflect on it much more? That's what we're talking about. And to talk about this, we have Julio Ribeiro, former Mumbai Police Commissioner, who has voiced concern in the past in writing and also on the show. We also have Father Stanley Kozichura. He's the media spokesperson of the Delhi Archdiocese. We have the spokesperson of the Kerala BJP, Danny Paul, joining us from Thiruvananthapuram. And also in studio, we have Dr. Rudolph C. Heredia. He is a priest and also the author of The Changing Gods, Rethinking Conversion in India. Now, Father Stanley, I want to start with you, and I just want to go through some of the points that has been raised in Archbishop of Goa's letter today. NDTV contacted the Archbishop of Goa. However, he said he has said everything he has to say in the letter and didn't want to explain himself further. I want to ask you, these are some really significant, really worrying comments that he makes. He talks about the emerging trends in the country which demand uniformity and in the way people eat, and talks about monoculturalism. He talks about human rights being under attack. Seeing that this is the third such public statement from the church, from the Catholic Church here in India, should we take this as something which the entire community feels?
Basically, all these three letters, what you're talking about, has been written by three individual bishops to their flocks. It is not concerning the entire community of Christians in India. Neither it is concerned about anybody. Delhi Archbishop writes letter to his people, maybe about 100,000 Catholics who are living in Delhi only. And Bishop of Goa writes to the people of Goa. It's a pastoral letter, which means it is only for them to know. So it is not a kind of a thing that has to be discussed as a pan-India matter, but it's an internal private thing. My only concern is this: when a minuscule minority of Christians, speaking something about a prayer, we are talking about something, why there is a national upheaval on such kind of things. I think what is important to know is the repeated statement that the bishops has made is about maintaining the sanctum sanctorum of the Constitution of India, and which is being trampled upon. That's a kind of a common feeling, not only the Catholic Church in the world, but everybody feels the same way in the country. You know, what is important is to see when a kind of an effort is made towards made a homogeneous cultural concept, they will decide what should be eaten. But the beauty of India is that the whole concept of heterogeneity. Every country, every person in his own religion, minority status, in every own language speaking and living, that multicultural society of India is the beauty of India. And that's what we've been promoted, that's been part of the Constitution. Now all of a sudden we want to kind of a homogeneous concept. That has been a kind of a thought process that's happening everywhere. And very especially Archbishop Filipe Neri is writing about the poverty aspect of it. He speaks about poverty in the world at large, he speaks poverty in the country at large, and he's especially speaking about poverty in Goa. So he speaks about the social poverty.
Sure, Father Stanley, I'm not at all questioning why the Reverend Ferrao wrote this. That's not it. I just wanted to highlight some of the things that he's mentioned, and all that NDTV wants to talk about is, should it be something which is of concern to all of us? If there is a threat to our constitution, which he talks about in his letter, it is a matter of concern for all of us, and that is the only reason why we're talking about it here. I just wanted to go to Julio Ribeiro. Sir, you heard what the minister said there, the Minister for Minority Affairs said there. What would you say about his statement there, sir? Does it reassure you that the government is listening to these matters that are being raised by men of the church?
You see, I would have been assured if in every case which is criminal in intent, the state takes appropriate action. The main thing is that the rule of law has to be upheld. And by not upholding the rule of law in many places, I think that the people's feelings are that the state is not really interested in protecting the rights of people, and in particularly the minorities. You know, minorities all over the world, it's not only in India, they want to maintain their identity. This happens everywhere. I've worked in Romania as ambassador. I know that the Hungarian minority wanted to maintain its identity. It's a normal feature, and every right-thinking government, particularly those who are very civilized, they bother about the minorities. They take particular interest in the minorities. You know, you'll be surprised that in China, where they have only 4% Uyghurs, the Muslim minority, they are allowed to have 2 children, whereas the others are allowed to have only 1. I mean, this is the concession they make to the minorities. They are allowed to bury their dead, which they have stopped the Huns, who are 92%.
Right. You know, what's interesting over there is also, before I go to the BJP spokesperson, because I'm sure he has a lot to respond to some of the points that are being raised over there, I wanted to ask you that there are, and if we can bring up that graphics as well, it's not the first time that we hear people who are religious persons bring up the matter of, and in this particular case, in all these 3 cases, we haven't heard them saying, don't vote for the BJP, vote for someone else. Now, we have seen, if you look at the instances, in 2017, last year, you had the Swaminarayan temple priests asking devotees to vote for the BJP in Gujarat. In 2017, you also had the Dera Sacha Sauda, support for BJP Akalis in Punjab. Then in 2014, you had the Parsi high priest asking followers to vote for the BJP in Mumbai. So these are all the BJP people from various religions and religious leaders asking for votes for the BJP. Of course, it's happened for other parties as well. For instance, the Lingayat Mahasabha appealed to vote for Congress in Karnataka. In Nagaland, the Baptist church body appeal said, don't vote for the BJP. Again, in Kerala, you also had the Jat Mahasabha, they asked for a vote for the BJP. So I'm giving various instances of religious leaders coming out there and saying vote for this party and telling their own community members to do so. Then why is it, Dr. Rudolph, that we are seeing so much outrage with the churchmen speaking up?
Let me respond to this as a social scientist, See, it's interesting first to observe that whenever the public statement is against a political party or they feel threatened by that statement, they reject it. If the statement is supportive, like as you have read, there's no objection to it at all. It's fine, it's kosher, it's done. So I think this says a lot about the present controversy, and there's no need to make further comment on that. I leave your listeners to make up their minds on this. Okay. A second thing I would like to point out, for this whole discussion is there is no conspiracy here. There are 3 diverse opinions expressed by 3 archbishops. The one from Delhi made a statement of concern for the community. The one from Bombay made a non-political statement, but was twisted again on the TV show, which I saw, and most unfortunately. And the one from Goa has made a more universal statement. Now, what are these things saying? Any sensitive person in power must listen. And there are minorities that are not speaking. Think of the response of the Muslim community to public lynchings.
You're saying that they're speaking for the Muslims as well?
No. See, some of the archbishops have spoken mainly for the Christians. The one in Goa has spoken for all.
Yes.
And I would like to speak to all. And my request to the listeners is read the silence. Please read the silence. If a minority has members being publicly lynched and they don't say a word, what does that say? I think any sensitive government must read this. I mean,
what do you make of the government response?
See, the government response is very defensive. It's extremely defensive. They see it instead of an appeal for care for a minority, the weak and the vulnerable, which Gandhi was always concerned about, they see it as an attack on them. Now, this is a clear sign of a majoritarian, authoritarian government. As soon as something negative happens, they see it as an attack. They don't see it as a reflection. I would urge them to do what Gandhi says, turn the searchlight within. Why are these people saying this?
Yes. So, Danny Paul, do you want to respond to what is being raised over here? Is the government defensive? Why don't they use this as a way of engaging with these people, with the 3 people who have spoken out reaching out to them and understanding what their concerns are?
Well, Sunitra, the letter written by Bishop Filipe Neri, it's his personal opinion. That is not the opinion of the entire Christian community of the country. All the three letters was addressed to the laity of that particular archdiocese or the believers of that church. That is not the reflection of the entire minorities of the country. India is a country where the minorities are the safest. Even the Rohingya Muslims, they want to come to India, they want to migrate to India. So, because they want to migrate to India, because India is a country where the rights of the minorities are protected and preserved. This is one land where every person in India, irrespective of their culture, religion or race or anything, they can be assured of all the constitutional guarantees, all the constitutional rights that they have. So this is the land, this is the beauty of the land. So this culture we have been maintaining for centuries, and that will remain like that. And those rights are guaranteed in the constitution also. There is no threat to the constitution as raised. So this is the election year, and in election year, so many such letters will surface. See, what prevents the Archbishop from addressing to the government directly? See, if they have a genuine concern, if they have something to address, so if they seek a remedy, what prevents them from approaching the government, inviting their attention into the matters? See, what they are doing is, they are trying.
Are you saying that it's politically motivated?
To the society or to their members. Please.
So I would like to come in.
That when you raise the fact that this is an election year, are you saying it's politically motivated?
Well, partly it is politically motivated. It is politically motivated. See, the Christians, the Catholic bishops, they have the conference, the Catholic Bishops' Conference. See, the president of the Catholic Bishops' Conference, Archbishop Gracious Oswald, he categorically stated that is not the opinion of the entire church. The Goa Archdiocese is just one among the 164 dioceses that the India has got. There are almost, I think, 160 or 64 dioceses in the country. And this particular letter has been written by one particular archbishop, which is his personal opinion, and that has got nothing to do with the opinion of the minorities of this country.
Okay, I know you want to say, I just wanted to take that to Julio Ribeiro as well. The minister, and now we're hearing the BJP spokesperson also seem to be suggesting that it's politically motivated of the archbishops to send out these letters. What do you say to that, sir?
Well, I don't know. They can call it politically motivated. I don't know what great political clout the Christians have in this country. I don't know how many constituencies they can really influence. So,
okay, you wanted to add to that?
Yes, I'm rather taken aback with somebody from Kerala saying that everything is fine and so on, and the levels of communal violence have been increasing recently with murders on both sides. I'm not justifying any of this for any political party, and I agree with him. India it's in the past, we were a tolerant, we were a welcoming society. Our whole history and our whole culture of Indic civilization has been this. It is changing. I would like to remind the BJP what their Prime Minister said, our Prime Minister said, when he first met the Christian community in Delhi, and at the invitation of the community, he promised them protection and everything else. And
that's when he first spoke about the Dalits who were being beaten in Una as well.
All this has happened, Yeah. So one has to look at significant facts. If these spokespersons are concerned, one has to find out why.
What do you think has spurred it on? I want to ask that to Father Stanley as well. What do you think has spurred this quick succession of letters?
Because the situation seems to be escalating. We saw the deterioration of public morality and public debate in the Karnataka elections. Both parties were really just going at each other. The politics of hate is peaking just now. And those who are in power are the ones responsible for turning it back, not the others. You have to do something about it. If all those who violated this offense against another community were really taken to task, it would work. On the contrary, it's the victims who are arrested, as happened recently in Kota.
Right. Father Stanley, you want to add to that? What is it that has brought about this quick succession of letters? Is it Karnataka, as Dr. Rudolph is suggesting, or is it something else? We've counted out, we've shown our viewers the NCRB data of the rising violence against minorities and also the Christian community. But is there some reason in the last 1 month we've seen 3 such letters? Is it that most archbishops, because we reached out to other archbishops who said no, that they hadn't planned any letter. So it's not particularly that all archbishops write to their parishes at this point of the year. So why is it that we're seeing these series of letters go out?
See, the thing is, it's not a question of a series of letters going out. The first one from Bishop Anil was a prayer request to his people in Delhi. And this one is a pastoral letter on the 15th anniversary of Bishop Filipe Neri. Every year he comes out with a new concept. Today, this year, he is speaking about the poverty, and that needs to be addressed. One thing I want to say is, in 2017 alone, there were about 822 attacks against minority which was recorded in the parliament. 11 minority deaths. My well-educated panelists were saying about the multicultural aspect of Indian constitution is been deteriorating. That's what the church's concern is about. If church does not speak for the poor, who will speak for the poor? Church has been always concerned with the poor. The voice of the rich and the affluent is heard, and the church stood with the poor, and the poor's voice has been always voiced by the church. Today, if the church is asking for knowing, studying the constitution of India, understand it and preserve it, protect it, I think the poor of the country needs to be cared. Their voice needs to be cared, and the bishops are making an effort for that kind of a study. So it's a kind of a church is actually taking the stand of the poor, the marginalized of the society.
Sure, I think your answer makes that very clear. Danny Paul, it's this season when we're seeing the BJP do an outreach to various communities. We are seeing the BJP president go out and meet eminent citizens. Perhaps one of the things that we are seeing is so many of these letters going out. The BJP doesn't want to engage with the archbishops to find out what they're speaking about, to engage with them.
No, that's not correct. See, the BJP always welcomes opinions from the public, from religious leaders, from the bishops, and even from the Catholic Bishops' Conference of India. Last week, if I'm right, the president of the Catholic Bishops' Conference, he had a meeting with the representatives of the government. What prevents the Catholic Bishops' Conference or the bishops or the archbishops in taking up the issue with the government? If they say that the situation in India is deteriorating, they should be taking up the matter with the government, not with the general public. See, when they take the matter to the general public, the intentions are in question. The acts, it has to be questioned.
They are saying that they are speaking to their own parishioners. It's an internal letter. Danny Paul, they are not saying...
Okay. It is been very specially addressed to his people, please, sir.
Well, see, they can talk to their people, they can call for prayers. Nobody is preventing from doing all these things. See, if they have a serious issue with the matter, what prevents them from shooting a letter to the government of India, inviting the attention of the government of India or the Home Minister or the Home Ministry, asking, see, these are the issues that you are facing as the citizens of this country. Please address our issues.
But we can say that,
letter has been shot
in fact, the Cardinal Oswald also, the day he spoke to NDTV is also the day he went and met Home Minister Rajnath Singh. One of the things that you're suggesting that they go and approach the direct government, they are doing that directly, but obviously the concern is very high. I know you want to say something. We just have just 20 seconds if you want to just wrap that.
I'd just like to say this. If the speech of the letters of these people are publicly motivated or politically motivated, have you ever thought that the silence of many people could be politically motivated? Have you ever thought of that?
For example?
the silence of the public. It may be fear. It may be a kind of spin-off benefit that they get. The majority community is getting it. I think the moderates among this country had better be alarmed. Because, first they came for the Jews, we've all heard that, for the communists or the socialists, etc., we've all heard that. And we know what happened in the last emergency. So once constitutional morality is compromised,
right,
once there's no loyalty to the Constitution and its concerns, we don't know where this will end.
Well, that's a sobering thought to end reality check with, and hopefully the series of letters and all the archbishops, some of the issues that they've raised, those are concerns which policymakers and the government people are really listening to them, and they address them as well. That's all that we can hope for. That's it on the show. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.